Hi, I'm Melissa from Stratus, here to give you a tip for those of you trying to hit round one deadlines. So it is early September, and deadlines for round one go anywhere from Saeed with a September 2nd deadline, and then close after September 4th with Harvard, Wharton, and Michigan Ross, all the way to October 15th with Texas McCombs. And then there are some little sneaky round twos hidden in there. So what you want to do is create a timeline to prioritize your applications. Make sure that you're working on the applications that are due first. Don't start with McCombs if you are also applying to a school like Kellogg that is due the second week in September. So create a schedule, prioritize based on deadlines, and then put together a plan so that you know what you need to be working on each week in order to submit your applications on time. And make sure that you submit them at least a day in advance. We never know what's going to happen day of. Always better to have your application submitted at least a day in advance, if not more. Before you consider your essays done, make sure that you, number one, ask someone who knows you really well to read your essays, to make sure that your essays sound like your authentic voice and who you are. And two, make sure you ask someone who doesn't know your story, doesn't know your industry, so that you can make sure that there aren't any technical terms in your essays, and that someone who doesn't know your background can understand easily what it is you're trying to say. Admissions teams are made up of all sorts of individuals from all sorts of backgrounds, so you want to be very cognizant of not using industry jargon or technical terms that might leave someone confused or not understanding what you are trying to say. I want to talk about checking in with your recommenders. So ideally, if you have deadlines in early September, your recommenders are already done. I like to suggest people ask their recommenders to have their recommendations complete a week in advance of when the actual application is due. That just gives some wiggle room if something comes up. But now is a great time to be checking in, making sure that A, they've received all the links from all of the schools that you are hoping that they can write recommendations for. B, that they are on time to submit when you need them to submit. And C, just understand if there's any questions they have. You should be able to track when recommendations are submitted through your portal. So you can also make sure when they say that they've submitted their recommendation that you're also seeing the same thing on the back end, which will mean that admissions is seeing that same thing. So my tip for today is to print the proof of your application and make sure that you review it before you submit your application. Most applications, if you go to the end, will have a review or something similar tab or link that will take you to the ability to PDF your application. I encourage people to PDF it, ideally even print it, so that you can look through your application the same way that an admissions team would look through the application. Make sure there aren't any spelling mistakes. Cross-reference it with your resume to make sure that the dates all match. Reread and make sure that everything makes sense. This is just a great way to look through the lens of the admissions team as to the information that you are submitting and make sure that it is pulled together in a package that is going to tell the story that you want it to tell. I wanted to talk about your resume and how it might correspond with the job descriptions and roles and responsibilities in an application. Many people think about just copying and pasting the bullets on their resume into the application, and I think that's a missed opportunity. I think it's important to think about the two of these as two additive pieces. So your resume should focus on the impacts that you've had, maybe a project that you completed where you can speak about the results that you had, or a team that you managed, or an initiative that you created. In the job description, if there's additional impacts that didn't fit on your resume, absolutely put those. But in addition, there's things that you do on a day-to-day basis, maybe managing budgets, maybe working cross-functionally. This can be a great way to augment your impacts with the things that you do on a day-to-day basis that maybe don't have as great of a quantitative value, but are more qualitative in nature. So think about how you can best showcase all that you do at work between the resume and the application and not lose the opportunity to tell more of your story. Good luck in the process.